Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Earth Toy of the Week podcast. I'm your host, Adam Paulus, and here to tell you about something pretty special. I wish I got around to it earlier last week, so it could be even earlier. But there's a lot of cool Star Wars stuff coming out right now, possibly even too much at once, because they don't spread it out so good. So you might be getting your sail barge next week, but you'll also very soon be getting your Star Wars A Black Series General Grievous 6-inch action figure. Yay! Woo! Anyway, I've got one here. I opened it last night because I should have opened it earlier because there's a question I had about it, which I guess I still technically don't have the answer for. If you are a long-term Star Wars collector, you no doubt have some figures from the prequels. And if you do, maybe you have some droids. The battle droids, super battle droids, and General Grievous figures are sometimes engineered in a way where the plastic's a little thin, and over time, even on a display stand, the typical base with the peg in the foot, a figure could sag and fall over just because the gravity will cause the limb itself to bend, not having anything to do with the joints. And I've had that happen with numerous figures over the years. It's very annoying. We don't know if that's going to happen with the 6-inch General Grievous yet, but I set them up last night, and the articulation locks in place really well. I can't speak to the long-term viability of stability during summer when plastic heats up and softens a bit and maybe starts to tip over, but at least for the last, it's got to be 14 hours, he stood and not fallen over. And because I put him in a quasi-action pose, I'm kind of impressed. The figure is really well sculpted, double jointed knees, the arms split apart just like in the movie. You can't do all the crazy poses while his arms are combined, so it's kind of hard to have like his hand in front of his face while he coughs. But the head and the neck have multiple joints. You can split the arms apart and do lightsaber stuff. He does not have swivel wrists. It's worth noting, and that's kind of surprising because the 2010 Vintage Collection 3¼ inch General Grievous did have swivel wrists. So each time they do a new version of him, you'll gain some things, you'll lose some things. The face paint is incredible. The mask has that weird gore around the eyes and it's just a little glossy in just the right places. There's some nice battle damage. The coloring looks really good. The gray might be a smidgen off on the cape, but the red lining looks good. Also off about the cape, the clasp's a little big, but getting soft goods to flow right at this scale is dang near impossible. I'm kind of surprised they didn't give us a plastic cape. Also, the back of the cape is missing that big Grievous skull robot symbol you've got on almost every single one of the 3¼ inch figures since 2005. Why they forgot it, I don't know. It had it on the last release, but it's not here. You have a blaster and 4 lightsabers, all of which have removable blades. The lining of the cape has pockets to store the lightsaber hilts if you decide to take them out like that. And in my experimentation so far, he's had no problems holding on to the weapons double-handed. I haven't done single-handed forearm display yet. But everything fits fine, it stands well, and it looks good. If he's going to be standing on a shelf or staying in the box, I think it's going to be a really good figure. You might want to spring for a doll stand from a craft store just to make sure he doesn't dive bomb off and the lightsaber snap in the long run, because that's the kind of thing that used to happen with my 3¼ inch figures. I had a few things not survive, which is very depressing. I got a few of them replaced, but long story. Anyway, if you have the means and interest, General Grievous is a pretty cool figure. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know why it's $10 more than a basic figure. It's cool and there's a little bit more meat on those bones, but the 3¼ inch figures, that was never really an issue. Even though that figure was taller and had more parts, it was the same price as the other guys. The box is a little bit wider, so for presentation purposes, maybe that's why. The deco is good. You do get more accessories, and the lightsaber hilts are all painted nicely, which is not something you usually get with the Hasbro General Grievous figures. Typically, there's a shortcut somewhere. And here, the only real shortcut, aside from the arm engineering, which is kind of probably not something I could figure out to save my life, so they probably did the very best they could given the current technology and resources at hand. It's the back of that cape. It's going to bug the crap out of me till the end of time. So maybe someone out there will make a stencil or like some sort of decal you can stick to the back, and I'll let you know if I see a good one. But other than that, General Grievous is big and cool. He's really tall. I love the lightsabers. The blue and the green of the blades looks great. The blaster fits in the hand just fine. The only thing I really would have loved to have added is just a sound chip that goes like, "You lose, General Kenobi," or something like that, because, yeah, he had a lot of fun lines when he was running around and being a robot spider and all that stuff. And, the one thing I'll say about the prequels, I like all the Star Wars movies for different reasons. There's something great in every single one of them. But the prequels did a really good job of giving us a really neat new villain in every movie, if not more than one. I mean, Darth Maul. And then you get Jango Fett and Zam Wesell and Count Dooku. That's pretty great. And then you get General Grievous and Darth Sidious and I don't think they had any good bounty hunters in Revenge of the Sith. They could have had more villains, but you still got General Grievous, and he was pretty cool. I mean, the sequel movies, you got a whole bunch in The Force Awakens, and that's it. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll give us a new bad guy that's really cool in the new one, like a bounty hunter, a gangster, something. Because I like the First Order, but I'd like to see more antagonism in those movies. But that's me. I mean, there's only so many bad guys to go around, but they had a lot of them in those prequels, so we're doing okay. And actually, I think with Grievous, technically, the only bad guys we have left are Dooku and Sidious in the 6-inch format for the prequels. I mean, we're getting battle droids and super battle droids. I don't think we'll ever see the Nemoidians, but they're doing the best ones first. I mean, I'm really happy we got Maul. Maul's going to get reissued with new face paint, by the way, in a couple of months, so stay tuned for that. I don't know if we're going to get Django again, but that figure turned out really nice, too. I'd like to see that with new face paint. That'd be really cool. So keep your eye open for this stuff because there's always new things coming. Complain as I will because that's the kind of fan I am. There's nothing so perfect that I can't find something to whine about. I really like this General Grievous figure. I'm really impressed by the fact that it stands up. I can't believe that it has rocker ankles. I mean, they really put a lot into this. And if that plastic stays over time and it doesn't flop over, Hasbro deserves all the applause in the world. Unfortunately, there's no way I'm going to know that for a couple of months because that's how time and gravity works. Like I've had figures that I've had standing forever, and then all of a sudden you look one day and then the legs are bent a little bit, and you're like, well, what happened there? That's life. These things don't. They weren't designed for long-term shelf implementation. Although many of them work perfectly fine, some will dive bomb. So pay attention, be careful, and maybe keep them on a low shelf until you know for sure, because lightsabers aren't easy to replace. And honestly, I've never seen, I don't think, a blue this good on a 6-inch figure. The 2019 Archive Luke has a pretty good blue. This is just a little bit darker, and some of the older ones were a lot paler. I took pictures when I got them to compare, and it just wasn't fading over time. They were paler. So you'll want this. And even if you don't want this, 1, you're a liar. 2, you got extra lightsabers to play with. And it's something. It's cool. And it's popular. And I don't know if it's going to be at a store near you, so go ahead and order yours right now at entertainmentearth.com. We have a lot on the way, and then we'll have more coming after that until Hasbro says, no, we're out. So I don't know how long that's going to be, so don't delay. Order today. And thank you for listening to the Entertainment Earth podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at EntEarth.